Today was an interesting day. At 3 a.m., the power was out. It was a good thing that I had my fireplace going last night so that this morning our house was still fairly warm. Lying in bed this morning, my two youngest daughters came to say hello, and my husband thought it would be fun to have cinnamon rolls, so he asked me if I would make them, and I was a little bit hesitant. I decided to get up and go out to the kitchen to make breakfast to feed the little ones. And upon opening the fridge, I realized the power is out. The milk was feeling a little bit warmer than usual. Well, cinnamon rolls were not going to be made this morning. So we had some yogurt and granola and some frozen blueberries. That was very yummy. After breakfast, we just hung out. I got a text message from a lady at church saying that church was canceled, so we did not get to go to church today. It was snowing a little bit, so we just decided to hang out. To be quite frank, we just lounged all day. We went outside a little bit and got some firewood, but mostly we just played all day long. We could have done some very beneficial things, but we chose to do nothing to benefit ourselves very much. We played a board game called Survive. 3 of my children and I did. It was a little bit not fun. There were arguments, but we finished the game and there was an unlikely winner. My son said he'd never won before, but today was his day. He got 1 more point than his bigger sister, and he was happy about that. We had the children clean their rooms today because they have been getting a little bit messy. So now the rooms are clean and they are all asleep, safe and sound, snug in their beds. And we are sure thankful for our warm house and for our electricity again. We definitely take things for granted. I didn't realize that without electricity, people who are old, they oftentimes have, not oftentimes, but sometimes old people need to have oxygen and their machines need electricity to run. So I felt very bad for all the old people in our area that didn't have electricity. It really makes me wonder if they're okay or not. I was surprised that the power came on already because it went off at 3 this morning. There had been about 250 power poles that had fallen down. So we were told by the news that they were not expecting the power to be turned back on until tomorrow or the next day. And I began to wonder, what am I going to do with all of the things in my fridge and my freezer? I wondered if they were going to possibly go bad. So I'm quite thankful that the power was only off for about 12 hours and it turned back on at 3 tonight, this afternoon. And I'm also very thankful for a wood burning stove, because without it, our house would have been quite cold. I actually had a friend text me and she asked if she could possibly come over with her 3 children. And of course, my husband and I thought that that would be a good idea if she needed it. She called about 2 or so and she asked if they could stay the night, and we said yes. So she was making plans to come stay the night with us. And then at 3, the power turned back on. So she texted me and said that she didn't have to come anymore. But it was an interesting idea about having her and her 3 children come join us and our 5 children. We were going to have a camp out in the living room here, all cozy in front of the warm stove. Which reminds me, I need to put another block of wood in it. Good thing we had a giant pile of wood out back when we bought our house a year ago. Another interesting thing happened today, and that was that a little neighbor girl came over. She's 6 or 7. Actually, she just turned 7. And she's in my 6-year-old daughter's first grade class. So they all had a lot of fun playing for about 20 minutes, because that's the amount of time her parents allotted her to come play with us. So she played with the girls up in their bedrooms upstairs, and they had a nice time for that short amount. But my 6-year-old came down and she asked if they could watch a movie. And of course I said there was not enough time. So they just had to play and figure it out. Later in the evening, once all the girls were asleep, my son was asking about how the power came back on and how it goes off. So I was trying to explain to him how electricity is like a river, and it has to be moving constantly through the metal in order to work properly. He asked about the power lines and if they had to put up new ones or if they could still use the old ones. So we had quite an interesting discussion. And to my shame, I was not especially patient with him and his childlike understanding, but we got it figured out. Now he knows they have to put up new lights. And when the power lines fall over or get snapped, it's because of the strong winds. And he, after our conversation, asked about me looking up kites, because he very much so wants a kite. He loves the strong wind weather, and he hopes we have it again. I, on the other hand, do not wish for that, especially for all the people who have great trouble when the power goes out. Because when the winds reach up to 90 miles per hour, power lines definitely fall down. Kitty Cat came to say hello. This is Jill. Hi, Jill. So all in all, we had an interesting Sunday. Not too busy and not very normal. I hope you had a great day.